Hey there, I know you're on a journey from grief to growth, just like I am, and you may be looking for tools to help you live a more soul aligned life. Well, head over to my Grief to Growth store. It's your one stop shop for inspiration, for healing, and for transformation. Inside there, you're going to find some free resources to help you get started. You'll find guided meditations to calm your mind and reconnect with your spirit. You'll find signed copies of my book, Gems of Healing. You'll find my brand new Oracle deck to help you tap into daily divine guidance. And there's some powerful mini courses designed to fit in your busy life and move you forward one gentle step at a time. So whether you're deep in grief, seeking spiritual growth, or just ready for a reset, there's something waiting for you right now. Just go to grieftogrowth.com/store, grief numeral 2 growth.com/store, and start exploring. Close your eyes and imagine. What if the things in life that cause us the greatest pain, the things that bring us grief, are challenges? Challenges designed to help us grow, to ultimately become what we were always meant to be. We feel like we've been buried, but what if, like a seed, we've been planted? And having been planted, we grow to become a mighty tree. Now, open your eyes. Open your eyes to this way of viewing life. Come with me as we explore your true, infinite, eternal nature. This is Grief to Growth, and I am your host, Brian Smith. Hi there, and welcome to Grief to Growth. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and whether this is your first time joining us or you've been on this journey with me for a while, I want to thank you for being here. The show is all about navigating the pain of loss, uncovering life's deeper meaning, and discovering who we really are and why we're really here. Today, I'm honored to welcome someone who's not only a gifted medium and intuitive, but someone who I have a very special history with. Her name is Effie Linke. Effie was just stepping into her spiritual gifts when we first connected, and I had the privilege of being one of her early sitters. Spirit works in mysterious ways, and through that connection, a little while ago, it's led us to this full circle moment when I get to interview Effie on the podcast. Effie didn't grow up surrounded by psychics or mediums. In fact, her strict Orthodox upbringing offered a roadmap that would soon unfold in her life. But a powerful and unexpected encounter with a psychic, one she was deeply drawn to, despite every logical reason not to be, changed the course of everything. And that reading opened the door not only to her spiritual gifts, but to an inner alignment that would reshape her entire journey. In today's conversation, we're going to explore what it means to remember who you are, even when you've been taught to forget. She'll share the path of mediumship isn't about just connecting with the spirit world. It's also about self-development, radical self-honesty, and deep soul alignment. We'll talk about the isolation that can come with awakening, the discipline required to be a clear channel, and how taking breaks and listening to your soul's whispers can lead you to unexpected and beautiful new chapters in your life. So if you've ever questioned your intuition, your path, if you felt drawn to something that made no sense on paper, or you've struggled with perfectionism in your spiritual growth, this episode is for you. Effie brings heart, depth, and wisdom that you're not going to want to miss. So after you listen to the episode, head over to my Substack, grieftogrowth.substack.com, and continue the conversation there. And with that, I want to welcome Effie Linke.
Oh, thank you, Brian. What an introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's
We've
great
had.
to be with you again. As I said in the introduction, you and I go back a little while. I was one of your test sitters when you were coming onto the Very Soul platform, and you just amazed me. So I've referred a lot of people to you since then. So I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. And just the way that transpired, it was meant to be when I look back, because the reading I recall was during a weekday, which I don't do readings. And I usually do them on the weekends or after work.
Mm-hmm.
And something within that day, uh, my entire workday stopped. My entire workday stopped. There was no more calls coming in. The emails just stopped, and I was just prompted to shut down. And I told the office I'm taking the afternoon off. Lo and behold, I got the call. Can you take a last minute reading? And I said, wow, that's interesting. Sure.
Yeah.
And that's how you and I connected for the very
Yeah.
first
It,
time.
it's really wild. We have a few things in common. First of all, your first name, Effie, I don't hear that name very often, but it's my grandmother's name. Um,
Lovely.
it was my grandmother's middle name. And I didn't know about your Orthodox background. I grew up in a very strict religious background myself. So maybe we can start there with your
Right.
Orthodox background and when you started connecting to spirit.
Great. What good question. I was raised in a Greek Orthodox background where it was the way it was supposed to be. I didn't question my parents' beliefs. I didn't question my relatives. I did what I was told as a child. So going to church every Sunday was not something you said no to.
Right.
Going to Greek school every Saturday as an extra school day was another thing you did not say no to. Taking extracurricular cultural activities, dancing, visiting your home country was something that was normal to me. I thought everybody was doing this for the longest time as a child. So it wasn't until I was in my teenagers and my one of my girlfriends said, "Let's go to a fair. Do you know those psychic fairs, Effie, they have?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I love those." So we went. So we'd be roaming around, we'd looking at all the cards, all the tarot, all the oracle. And each station I would go to, they would tell me that I was going to be doing this in the
Hmm.
future. And Brian being level-headed at that time and also being a little bit vulnerable, thinking, no, me, maybe, yes, no. But at the end of the day, they're telling everyone this.
Hmm.
They're telling everybody this. And it became a habit that it was a fun girls' day to go to the fairs, go to dinner afterwards, and I never felt anything. Never felt anything. We never talked about spirituality. We never talked about what they would call quote unquote ghosts today. We were never drawn. I was just drawn to going to the fairs.
Hmm.
Life goes on. You get married, you have children. And then one day, out of nowhere, Brian, I saw a psychic pop up on my feed, and I was so pulled to him, not knowing why. And I had no idea who he was, but I knew inside my soul that I needed to speak to him. Brian, he had no social media. He had no website. He had absolutely no TikTok, no feed, a very, very old school psychic and medium.
Hmm.
And I contacted him. He asked for quite an obscene amount of money. And lo and behold, something inside my soul told me I need to speak with this man. I sent it to him via mail,
Hmm.
cold, hard cash
Oh,
from
wow.
Canada. Who does this today? And I didn't tell an entire soul because I knew they would talk me out of it. That was a given. And I kept quiet and I came to terms with it that if this was a scam or this was a fraud, I was okay. I had come to terms and put that to bed. He did call me
Hmm.
and he had a 6 to 8 month waiting list. So we finally got on the phone. And it was one of those, as mediums and psychics, we get a lot of readings, Brian, a lot of readings. But this reading changed my entire course of my life. And
Hmm.
I have never received that type of reading ever again.
Oh, wow.
This man knew things that he could not have known. The reading was for 2 hours. It turned into a 4 hour reading.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and he didn't charge me the extra. So, and the entire reading, it was like I knew him, not knowing the synchronicities at that time.
Hmm.
It was like I was speaking to an old friend from the past, and I kept telling him, "How do I know you? You're across the world. How do I feel you? I can't understand this feeling that is happening between us." It was like a soulmate, but not a soulmate, as a someone I've known, but I didn't know how I knew him.
Hmm.
And his accuracy was blowing me away where he shared where you were at the grocery store a couple of days ago and you didn't know which yogurt to get and you were going back and forth with the Greek yogurts.
Hmm.
And I stopped and I said, "Get out of my head. Get out of my head." That's how accurate he was. And during the entire reading, he kept telling me that I was going to be doing this, that I was going to be doing this, which brought me right back to the psychic fairs.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, here we go. I'm hearing this again. I'm hearing this here. It comes up all over again. And I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I will not be doing this. This is not for me. This is something that you do. You're really, really great at it. And he kept saying, Effie, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing this. It's going to take you by storm. And this
Hmm.
is why we're having our call today. And also during that reading, he said something that no one has known, that I have a tattoo of an infinity sign. And he said that, do you think that you just walked into that day to ask for an affinity sign and they just happened to have the right tattoo artist for you? That usually they have a 6 to 9 month waiting list and it just
Mhm.
happened to be open that afternoon. How do you know that?
Wow.
How do you know it was meant to be this
Wow.
call? Right, right. So the call goes on and on. And so he kept telling me to grab a pen and paper, write down what I'm telling you. And I was humoring him. Sure, I will write down when this awakening happens, this is what I will be doing, but was more intrigued of his knowledge.
Hmm.
How does he pull that information out? How does he know this? You've seen psychics, you've seen mediums on TV, you've watched them, but this was different.
Hmm.
This was different. And what was intriguing about him was his humbleness. He did not know how accurate he was, and he kept his authenticity was something that I found just kept pulled towards him.
Hmm.
It was like my grandfather from a long time ago that we all need, that old soul wisdom he had. At the end of the call, he said to me that this is going to be happening very quickly. And all these notes that you have written, when it happens, please refer to them. And I said, okay, I will do that, not believing him still. But very, very, I still have the notes today, but when I look back, just after COVID, just after COVID, one morning, I woke up and something ignited my soul, Brian. It sparked something inside me. I could not express it. I could not express this feeling. For the first time in my life, I felt as if everything makes sense. There
Hmm.
is something much more to this world than what I have been told and that what I have been shown. And it was like my body was on electricity that entire year. And there was nothing I wanted to do except develop as a medium. And there was nothing, no one could tell me that I was not a medium. Inside my gut, I just knew I could do this. And there was not a soul or person I could talk to. There was no one in my family that I was aware that had this knowledge. I had no friends to go to. I had no teachers. I was by myself, a very green, brand new developing medium. And what did I do? I went back to the notes
Hmm.
that we had written, that he had told me to write from that reading a couple months prior to that.
Yeah.
So lo and behold, I'm opening my book and I'm looking at all the notes and I'm going, oh my goodness, thank God, thank goodness I had these notes to refer back to help me with this transition of what was happening. And yes, that did help me quite a bit. But just during that time period, just as I was awakening, trying to find my journey, trying to find my path, where is this going? How do I fit into this world? Why don't I have anybody else to talk to? I had this deep within wisdom knowing that I'm going to be on my own. I knew that I was going to be doing this on my own. And I think I had this discipline being raised from my family that there was no talking back when I
Hmm.
was growing up, that old school. So they instilled this way inside me that I just went right to it and I started to develop. I started to study. I started to read. And that's all I did outside of my workday was
Hmm.
just develop. And it took over my entire life, especially, and this is during the COVID time.
Hmm.
And during the COVID, the world shut down.
Right.
So I had no one to drive to. I had no kids to chaperone. I had no train to go to work. So we were all at home and it was all aligned when you look back because I could not do this today.
Hmm. Wow.
Could not do this today the way we were out of COVID today. So that went on for a few years, for a couple of years. That's all I was doing was developing with a passion.
And when you say
And
developing, how are you developing?
I was looking online,
Okay.
trying to find resources of what to do when mediums are brand new,
Hmm.
which path to take. And I was bombarded with so much information. And I trusted my gut inside. I was pulled to a certain source of information
Hmm.
where I would read it and it just resonated. And it went back to that reading from that time period. I was just pulled to that psychic. I don't know why.
Hmm.
I was just pulled to him. So that's how I use that methodology. I was pulled to that resource. I would open it and it just felt right.
Hmm.
And so I started to work within that, what the content was saying. And I would also practice, and I would practice with people across the world. Across the world. Asia was no, for me, if it was their 3 a.m., if it was my 3 a.m., I started to know the time zone of Australia, China, Japan. It was incredible. And I don't know how I did it.
Hmm.
I really, really don't know how I did it, but it was this pull to do this. About let's say mid-year, my family sits me down and they said to me that we don't know who you are anymore. We
Hmm.
don't know who you've become. We support you in this, but you really, 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 really need to know that it's time maybe to get a mentor or to find someone to tutor you, something to get you into that groove. Because
Hmm.
they were seeing how I was searching and searching and reading. And I said, that was right. That's what I needed to hear at that precise time. It was the words I needed to hear.
Yeah. Just to interrupt you for a second, how were you finding
Mhm.
sitters? You said you were working with people
Very
across the world.
so.
Oh, very so. Okay. All right. Okay.
That's and it very soul came up also. And so I started to also find circles
Okay.
online. Circles where developing mediums were practicing. So
Right.
I would write out, I'm looking for a practice session within such and such times. And I was organizing it myself. So weeks and weeks in advance, I would have all these practice sessions organized, set up, and I would practice and just
Hmm.
practice. But at the same time, I would record myself to see where my reading, where I could have gone deeper, why maybe I went psychic, maybe I went all those techniques, mechanics that I
Hmm.
learned today.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So when you were young and you were going to these psychic fairs, were you telling your family that you were doing it? How was your family reacting to that?
Yes,
Okay.
I didn't tell them that I was going to psychic fairs
Okay.
because I'm going to a fair that
Uh,
sells jewelry, that sells
okay.
beads.
Okay.
They knew about oracle cards and they just took it with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
I was out having a fun day with my girlfriends and it was harmless. It was to them, but I didn't bring it home. I didn't talk about it at home. Ghosts were not real, mediums were not real. The interesting thing is they believed in angels very, very much.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they believed so much in angels. So when we had a crisis or an issue or to pray, they would share, let's call in all these angels that they were aware of. So it's something that we know, you and I spiritually, angels do exist.
Yeah.
Angels are real,
It's really interesting
right?
because Greek Orthodox, I understand, is kind of similar to Catholicism in some of
Right,
the forms and everything. And Catholics will pray to saints, but they think mediumship is bad.
right,
That we shouldn't
right.
talk to the dead. So how did you get past that that
Do actually,
taboo?
a memory just came up where I want to go back where I was
Sure.
9 years old. And do you remember Sylvia Brown? That
Yeah.
passed the late psychic. I remember on Wednesday she was on Montel Williams.
Hmm.
And the first time I had seen her on TV, I had come home from school and I dropped my bag and I was going to the kitchen and then I heard her voice.
Hmm.
And her voice, something about her voice was intriguing me, was pulling me towards her. So I looked out of the kitchen and I saw who she was and her name, and I started crying, not knowing why,
Hmm.
not knowing why I was crying. So I'd run to the washroom. My dad was sitting on the couch. I didn't want him to see me cry, and I would just start crying and crying and crying, and I couldn't shake it. Why am I crying over this lady's voice? Something
Wow.
about her voice. So I didn't tell anyone, and I didn't want to tell my dad or my mom because I couldn't explain it myself. Every Wednesday from that day moving forward, I would run home knowing that she was on Williams, 4 o'clock, and my dad would be watching her, and I would be sitting in the kitchen pretending to be eating or doing some homework, but really I was listening to her.
Oh, wow.
And afterwards, during the hour session with Montel, I would start to cry. I would start to cry. Tears were coming out of nowhere, not knowing then that it wasn't myself, Effie, that was crying. It was my soul that was crying inside.
Hmm.
It was something, a piece of her I was pulled to. Something about her brought me home. And I would run to the washroom and cry. And I
Wow.
didn't share that with my family for years and years and years. I just kept it to myself. There's some things, Brian, we just keep to ourselves. We
Yeah.
just keep to ourselves. And that was one of the things because I didn't understand it myself
Yeah.
as a little girl. Sorry to
So,
interrupt.
when you were going to the psychic fairs, were you getting readings there, or are you just kind of hanging out for the day? I know you said people kept telling you were going to do this, but
I didn't believe in readings. I didn't believe
okay,
it was actual
you
real.
were just going for fun. Yeah.
I was going for fun and even the teacup readings that we would get from the Turkish coffee, we would sit down and do predictions that you're going to be married at 29, you're going to have 5 kids, you're going to be all of that high level, and it was fun. And I didn't fully believe. I just liked it. I was drawn to it. I was attracted to the whole atmosphere, I can say,
Yeah.
of the fair, not fully understanding yet that this was going to be something I'm going to be doing in the future. It's just, and it was myself who was organizing it. Let's
Yeah.
go to that one. Let's go to that one. Let's go to that one. And in the car, okay, let's see how many people are going to be telling Effie she's going to be doing this. And I think, ladies, they're telling everyone this.
Yeah.
It's not myself. They're telling be level grounded.
Yeah.
This is something they're sharing to everyone. And they'd say, no, Effie, they're not telling us. Sure they are. Sure they are. So it became this inside joke between all of us. And yeah, it was every fair. They would tell me I was going to be doing this, but I
Yeah.
took it with a grain of salt because I did not see myself ever to be doing this ever.
I'm
This was not me. This was for them.
I'm curious, were there any predictions that they made then that came true for you later, like when you got married or had children or any of
No,
those things? Okay.
no, no.
Okay.
What I'm really glad is I went one day, I was drawn to go to a palm reader near my home. I
Hmm.
just stopped to go to a palm reader, and I'm 14 or 15 years old, interested in palm reading. And I, she told me things, and this is where the fraud comes up, Brian. This is where the skepticism. And she told me that I had evil spirits inside me,
Hmm.
and that if I didn't give her more money, that this was going to happen to my family. I was scared out of my wits.
Of course. Yeah.
Scared out of my wits. I just paid her such and such, and she's giving me this information of my palm, and I need to give her more money. Luckily, I didn't have a job then. It was my birthday money I used. So I didn't have any extra money to give to her to get that evil spell off my family.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to sleep for weeks.
Yeah.
I was scared. I didn't share anything with my mom or my dad because I knew they would be very angry with me. And not looking back then, I dodged a bullet. I dodged a bullet. It was one of my early encounters of seeing, wow, that could have been really harmful for someone that
Yeah.
really believed in it.
Yeah, the thing about mediumship is, it does get a bad reputation because I say to people, there are bad mediums, there are, average mediums, there are good mediums, they're great mediums, and then there are frauds. And people, they see the fraud and they see the people who are not very good, and they say, well, that's all mediums, and it really brings down the whole profession. So,
It does. They see your soul suffering. They see that you want answers. They see how much you're yearning for your loved one to come through, or they could see that you want to be with your soulmate in this life, and they take advantage of that.
yeah,
And that is where it gives us a bad reputation. It's the mediums that are authentic, that are working really hard. And there are, as you said, some fabulous mediums out there that are real and have put the work in and really are doing this for the right reasons.
yeah,
And and you yourself have probably met lots and lots of mediums
I have.
with the work they.
Yeah, I have. I have met lots of mediums. And then another thing that people don't really understand about mediumship, it does, you have to develop it. You have a skill, but you have to work on it to really become good at it, which is, when you were talking about development, people might say, well, what is that? I thought mediums just were. They were just born that way.
Correct. And I'm glad we're going into this next section of development. It's not just the mechanics of mediumship. Pardon me.
Hmm.
that you need to learn. You need to learn also your self-development inside, who
Yeah.
you are and who are you becoming. Because as you're developing, you're going to get to a place, majority of mediums, where emotions will come up from the past that you have not worked on. And these
Mm,
could be through your meditations. This could be through some inner work that you're doing along your mediumship, where you start to tap inside and you'll be looking back at a memory that will come up that, oh my gosh, I've never dealt with this. Why is this coming up? That's a sign that your soul is sharing with you. It's time to tap into that and start
mm,
to work on what that feeling is coming up. And only you or me or that person will know what it is.
yeah.
And working with those emotions, working into that self-development, that is what helped me go deeper into the readings.
Mm,
That is what really began to become a journey where I was just surface level. I didn't want to go into those sections or into where it got tough. But the more I worked on myself inside is where I started to see I was getting deeper on the emotions and staying there and
mm,
staying with those emotions and going even deeper and finding the right words, not just the interpretation, because we know the interpretation can be a thousand different things
mm,
when we see a picture or we feel something or we just know something. Learning all of that took a long, long time. And it's continuous, Brian. It is continuous. It is till the day I will die. I will constantly be learning, not just mediumship, but myself inside, who I am,
mm,
and where this journey is going to take me, to be very open-minded that I can be in this journey and I could turn left and this could be my new directions. I have seen mediums come into circles and classes where they start and then they realize, oh my gosh, I'm an excellent baker. I've
mm.
always wanted to open up my bake shop. But if they never took the class, they would have never knew that potential inside them.
Interesting.
Or they want to write a book
Yeah.
and they, wow, I'm a really good writer. I didn't know this. And they're inspired to start to write a book. That is their potential that's always been inside them. And they were able to bring that out. And then they start to tap into that. How do you know it's your true potential? It needs to come naturally. It's not something that's forced.
Mm,
It has to come naturally to you and something that you love and something that you know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
mm. Wow. Wow. So you mentioned I mean, obviously you were raised Greek Orthodox and you had this strict background. How has your family reacted to you coming out now and saying I'm a medium?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I'm excited to announce I have a great new resource. It's called GEMS, 4 steps to move from grief to joy. And what it is, it's 4 things that I found that I do on a daily basis to help me to navigate my grief. And I'm offering it to you free of charge. It's a free download. Just go to my website, www.grieftogrowth.com/gems, GEMS, and grab it there for free. I hope you enjoy it.
Great question. So it was I had to I didn't tell them for a long time.
Mm,
I kept it quiet and it was for good reason because I was developing. I wasn't speaking to no one.
mm-hmm.
I was didn't speak to my friends, didn't speak to my family, just when I needed to speak to them to make a visit from, as you know, COVID from a distance to say hello, 10 minutes. And then that was really our visits. So I was quiet and it was a blessing in
Okay.
disguise where I
Yeah.
knew I had to be quiet with this because they would, not that they wouldn't believe me, but I just didn't need the interference because
Mm-hmm.
I was so focused into what I was doing. It wasn't until 2 years later I did tell some of my siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't really have a reaction. They knew that I'd shared that this is something extremely important to me. It is bigger than my relationship with my family. This is something I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tell me not to do it, it could be our relationship could be severed. That's how important it was. And I had to put a stance on that.
Mm-hmm.
And they either accepted me for who I was or they didn't.
No.
And
Yeah.
they saw that, and I was ready. I was ready to walk away, even if I didn't want to, knowing that this was my journey. This was
Mm.
something I was going to be doing. And thankfully, they accepted me.
Wow.
Thankfully, they accepted me, though I don't talk about it because it's not their life.
Right.
They have their life, they have their journey, they have their families, they have their activities. So I don't bring it on to them.
Okay.
They ask me questions when there's some curiosity. I never give them the answers. And this is with all my friends that come to me. The answers are already inside them. I
Mm.
guide them to what do you feel is the right answer for you. If you're asking me, you already know the answer.
Yeah.
You're looking for validation. And I don't give them that validation because it's so important that they see that and find that for themselves. Because that's when they will feel empowered.
Yeah.
That's when they will really feel, I did this on my own. And you've always had it. You've
Yeah.
always had it. You just got to get, and mistakes will happen. Our learning lessons are part of our life, Brian.
Yeah.
That is how we learn. That's how we keep evolving. We keep evolving, keep evolving.
Well, this is a good time to talk about the difference between
Hmm.
mediumship and psychics, because
Hmm.
people get them confused and they think all mediums are psychics. So can you explain to people the difference?
I didn't know the difference myself for a full year, so
Yeah.
transparency, until it was explained to me that psychic is someone like you and I living. So look, you and I will be talking about your life. So you will come to me for a reading, for a psychic reading, and
Hmm.
there is something within your life that you want an answer to. And psychics will tap into it. And by the way, when you find good psychics, they're worth their weight in gold.
Hmm.
They are worth their weight in gold. And I don't go back into the past. I look at their potential, where they're heading into the future, but what is presently happening in their life right now.
Hmm.
It could be several things. It could be family. Family could branch out into their partners. It could branch out into their relationships with their extended family. It could branch out into their siblings' relationships, many, their kids' relationships. That could be one core area. It could go into the careers, whether they want to change their jobs, whether
Hmm.
they're looking to branch out into a different career. How do we combine both of them at the same time? And what kind of career they're looking at? It could be finances. They're in a place with finances. How do I make more? Or where should I be investing? Or what should I do with my will? Should I be sharing it with this? There's so many concepts to this. It could be also your friends,
Hmm.
your relationship with your friends. So many branches it could take you to when you go, but it's for the living
Hmm.
and it's right now. And usually those answers come very quickly with a psychic. You don't have to blend very quickly. It's all up here and
Hmm.
it's very, very fast. And you go, and it could be also their health,
Hmm.
worried about their health, worried about a loved one's health, what to do with their health. What should we do? Should they go into hospice? Should we take them home? Lots of areas there also.
Hmm.
And the mediumship is to speaking with loved ones,
Yeah.
speaking with loved ones who have passed, who come in, who blend with our soul, because that's what it is. It's a soul to soul reading that we're
Okay.
having. So
Hmm.
the more you're able to hone your soul and to sit quietly and not have those thoughts come into your mind, the more you're able to blend with the soul of the loved one that's coming in and to step out of the way. And the true power in this is when we really step out of our ego, out of our mind, and really communicate the message that they want to say to their loved one. It can mean absolutely nothing to us, but to that loved one, it can mean 1,001 things that they needed to hear.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
many times have we heard this?
Yeah.
How
So
many times? Yeah.
when you do readings, Effie, do you do mediumship and psychic readings? And
So that I love this question. This I was going to flow into that next. So
okay.
my readings are like the infinity symbol. Think of the blend.
Hmm. Okay.
So it was like that powerful reading that I got from that psychic who was also a medium. He was going back and forth into my life. He
Yeah.
was sharing
Yeah.
all the people that are here with names, dates, years,
Okay.
things that we had done together. But he was also going into my life today,
Okay.
what I was doing today, where I was going, things I had done, things that were on my mind that I was worried about. That's how tapped in he was. So that's how my readings are. It could be a blend of both, but I meet the need of the communicator. So if you came to me for a reading, you might think you're coming in for a psychic reading, but you could have a loved one come in, which you may not expect that loved one come in, but it could be the one that you need to hear from. And it could be something about your career.
Interesting.
and you are
Yeah.
struggling with your career today, and then you have a friend or a family member that was the CEO of a company that was very successful, and they're coming in to give you a message about your career. And how many times I have heard, I came in for one thing, but I really needed to hear from that loved one. Or I came in for a mediumship reading, but I really needed a psychic reading. So it can go both ways. I try to meet the need of the person that is here in front of me. It could be 50-50, it could be 80-20. I don't know. But I have found trusting what the need is. And I will never know what that is until I'm face to face with them.
I love that answer. And I tell you, as we were saying earlier, I have hung out with a lot of mediums because of what I do and places I've been and stuff. And I've seen mediums, they're just humans like everybody else, can get very critical of other mediums. And I've seen them like a medium will be giving a reading. They're like, oh, she's going psychic now. And I'm like, and because as a sitter or as an observer, I don't care. But I've seen mediums get very judgmental about other mediums, like, no, no, you can't go psychic.
You that's that's their opinion. Everyone will have an opinion, and that's
Yeah,
one thing about mediumship and psychic. There's no regulations on it.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
regulations, so everyone will work differently. And if you ask, and I tell my students, it's if you ask an opinion to a medium how to do this, you're going to get, or actually, what I say is, if you ask 10 mediums a question, you're going to get 11 different answers.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's really interesting because I get to work with people who are developing and I see what they're hearing from their teachers. And I've also seen, like I said, mediums kind of judging each other. And I'm like, you have to, I think you have to develop your own style. And I
Yes,
could tell you from a sitter's point of view, if I'm sitting there and I'm getting a reading, I don't care whether you're going psychic or you're doing mediumship. It's like, am I getting what I need? And I like, like your approach to it. It's like you give people what they need.
right, right. And for the longest time when I was developing, I was just getting grandparents.
Hmm.
Grandparents. And I knew today why, because I had a really close relationship with my grandparents. They raised me. They
Mm-hmm.
were an extremely big part of my life. I was very fortunate to have these two people and the other two that lived down the street, to see them, one every day and the other one every weekend.
Hmm.
And they were such a huge, significant part of my childhood that every grandparent was coming in was always about what I could resonate to, what I knew about my
Yeah.
grandparents.
Yeah.
And I had a blend of both, the very disciplined ones and the extremely funny one, the extremely funny grandmother. So I was just getting grandparents, and then I started to see slowly it began to move into parents.
Hmm.
And so moving more into mothers and fathers and distinguishing between whether this is a stepmother, this is a friend that's been a big influence in your life, like a mother, a grandmother could be a mother, because a mother today or a father could be 1,001 things to somebody. So
Hmm.
I'd slowly seeing, I was moving into parents, relationships with parents, the dynamics, what happened growing up, and how the sitter today with their life, and that would be psychic, where they are because of some of the
Right.
influences in their past and where they're stuck. And that could be a psychic reading, that could be 50-50,
Hmm.
where it goes. And then slowly, children. And you, Brian, were one of the first people I received as a child, one of the first primary, which I did not expect to happen.
Yeah.
Though children was not something I was very strong at. I could not, children were just not coming. I put the intention out there and they slowly started to appear,
Hmm.
children. And they did it the right way, where I could sense that there's a child stepping in under the age of 5 or 4. And I don't go into miscarriages or stillborn. And by the way, we also didn't talk about ethics
Hmm.
when we're doing platform demonstrations, the wording to share, the right wording, the privacy of the sitter and where they're at. And I started to get then children. And then afterwards, it just formed into more. It was just branching out slowly, slowly, slowly. And I started to distinguish whether the parents are still living or they're past.
Hmm.
The parents are still living or they're past. And I will be the first to say I'm not perfect. I make mistakes.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And I have a roster of mediums I refer to as my resources, that we are not aligned. This was not a good reading. And I refer you to this. beautiful 10 or 20 mediums that you are drawn to.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think
Well,
that's important. Each medium does have a roster of mediums that they can refer clients to if they don't have a good reading.
I think that's a wonderful admission. I love your humility, and I can tell you, I know lots and lots of mediums. Not every medium is for every person, and I've seen fantastic mediums just not be able to connect for certain people.
Right.
It
It's like
happens.
friendships. We're not
Yeah,
going to get along with we're not everybody's cup of tea.
yeah, yeah.
Not everybody's cup of tea. So where were we, Brian?
Well, we were talking about ethics. We were talking about
Right.
the way that we do things, the style, and I think everybody does have their own. And I think that's great that you do that. And you mentioned so you're well. Let's talk about Very Soul a little bit because we've kind of
Hmm.
touched on it. But for people that don't know what it is, it's fantastic, but it's also very unique. So explain to people. You said when you were trying to find a way to develop, you ran across Very Soul.
Yes. And Sally, and I will share her name,
Yeah,
Hawk, she just happened to develop the site at the time I needed it.
yeah,
At the
that's wild.
time I needed that site, there it was. And I was just starting my journey and I had no one to practice with or no one to talk to. And lo and behold, here comes this site. And it was my dream come true. It was my dream come true, Brian. It was exactly what I needed. So I
Hmm.
was, believe you to validate with Sally, one of the first 20 or 25, I'm not sure, uh, people to register. And I just started to practice. It was not learn, but more practice the mechanics that I was learning on my own through the YouTube sites or resources
Hmm.
just for that first year. And as the site got bigger and bigger, I started to see that she started to have events, which I do help her with some platform demonstrations for developing mediums, also the mechanics of mediumship. And I also do mediumship demonstrations for developing mediums. I did one last night for
Hmm.
her. And you can see the effort that she's put into the site. And I think she's got about 8,000 to 9,000 registered attendees on the site today. And it's grown and grown and keeps evolving. You can see the site where now you can have sessions where if Brian has an extra hour free, you can go on and try to find mediums who are available across the world. Also sharing that I'm available at 10 a.m. Let's do a practice session.
Hmm.
And within those sessions, it's where I learned how to develop my skill set in my mechanics, where I was going deeper, where I was not, what I had got wrong. And I encourage everyone when they're doing a reading to record themselves.
Hmm.
And then I want you to go back into the reading and watch yourself. But I also want you to ask the person that is giving you the sitter that's giving you the reading to give you very thorough feedback. Because
Hmm.
that's really going to help you understand where your story could have unfolded in which direction. You had the garage, you had the tools in that garage. Something about that garage is very, very important to the spirit on the other side.
Hmm.
Also, the very first piece of information you're going to receive in a reading is going to be the most important piece of information where the story is going to unfold.
Hmm.
Understanding also bridging statements, how to blend with another communicator naturally to come in,
Yeah.
and feeling those subtle, subtle nuances, those energies to come in. So, all of that I was working on
Yeah.
diligently. I think I've done thousands of practice readings today,
Yeah.
thousands.
So for people that are listening, so Very Soul, the thing that's really cool about it, in my opinion, is that mediums, it's a great place to develop. It's a great place to market yourself. It's free for the mediums to be on it. You get to do practices with each other. You get to develop, and then Sally doesn't really put you out there till you've proven that you can do, readings.
There, yeah,
But
yes.
from a sitter's perspective, also because they'll ask me for mediums to go to, and I'm like, a lot of them are expensive. A lot of them have very, very long waiting lists, and everybody wants to go to the ones that are expensive that have long waiting lists. And then we don't know whether mediums are any good or not. If you go to Very Soul, the mediums have been vetted, they're available because they're there, and they're reasonably priced. So
Yes,
I
yes.
I do have a list of mediums I refer people to, but I prefer people to Very Soul all the time also because it's such a great thing for, again, both sitters and I've sent mediums there to develop and to market themselves, and I've sent sitters there.
They also have a emblem now, a verified medium from Verisol. They have
Mm-hmm.
launched a couple of months ago. So they can put the mediums of this on their website. They can put it also on the website on Verisol that they have been vetted, and they have the gold and black emblem, the circle, that they
Yeah.
are a
Yeah.
professional verified medium from Verisol, from the team and also from clients and also their own clients from Verisol, practicing the readings and giving the feedback
Yeah.
to the team at
And I
Verisol.
saw something on Facebook just yesterday, I think it was, that they were the very souls looking, I think, for volunteer sitters to help
Mhm.
practicing
Yes.
mediums. Yeah. So,
Yes. So if you are looking for a reading, they do offer, if you're not a medium or even if you're a developing medium and you're not sure just yet to tap into your abilities, you can get a one free reading
mhm.
from a professional medium on Verisol.
Yeah.
You can register and you will get one free reading and you can give the feedback afterwards on the survey.
Yeah. So it's a really great site. So that's I wanted to get that in today as we're talking because I'm always trying to get more people to go there. But Effie, for you, obviously mediumship is hugely important. I mean, to the point where you were like telling your family, it's like this could come between us. So why is mediumship so important to you? What is it that you think that it provides?
It's it goes back to the very beginning when that moment I woke up and I knew there's something more in this world.
Mm,
I can't answer that fully, Brian, what it provides inside me.
hmm
It is just something that is a calling that I need to do.
hmm
It's something inside that I need to. Does it bring me peace? A portion of it does. Does it bring a purpose? Yes, it does. Is it a mission? Yes, it is. Is it a soul contract? I don't know until I go to the other side. It's something that I need to do. And I know I will be doing this for the rest of my life. There is absolutely no questions to ask. I will be doing this for the rest of my life. And I know that I will be going to places where there will be healing. There will
mm,
be churches. There will be humanitarian to connect with people who need the healing. It may not even be a reading. It may not be a psychic reading. It could just be healing, giving
hmm
them knowing that they're not alone, that they're here. We're all connected together. We're all aligned, and we're going to make it to the very end, all of us.
Yeah.
That's what it brings. It's not a one answer. It's a combination of
hmm
a fulfillment of different answers all combined into one. My children are aware that they know this is something that they want to do. I do feel also one of my children is an empath, very, very much interested, but I
Hmm.
don't push them. I don't
Hmm.
push them. I want them to be kids. I want them to grow. I want them to learn, to have their adventures in these years that they're teenagers.
hmm
And when they're ready, if they're ready to move to tap into this, and it could be a part of their journey or not, but I give them that open space and they watch me.
Yeah.
So they watch me, they know that this is real, but I just let them be to their own devices.
Yeah. Well, I see it as a ministry. It's interesting for people. Again, so many people think the field is full of frauds and stuff, which there are frauds. I mean, we have to admit that we talked about that. But the people that I see doing mediumship, it's a service. They do it because they want to serve other people. But we have to charge money because we have to make a living, and that's a whole interesting thing too. When people say,
That's
"Oh,
another topic to go
yeah,
into.
it's
Yeah.
it's a gift. You shouldn't charge for it," which is just ridiculous. But I see people doing it. No, I don't see people going it because they want to get rich. Because most mediums are not going to get rich. They do it because they want to serve.
It took me a long, long time to charge.
Hmm
And I couldn't fathom that inside me. How do I charge? How do I know what's the right rate? How do I
Right.
know what is, if and it's that balance. If you go too low, they don't take you seriously. If you go too high, you're tapped out of the market. Finding that middle part,
It's
that
hard.
sweet spot in between. And I tell everyone out there who's looking to charge to look at your community, to look where you are, look at the rates that they're charging within your currency, look at the years of experience to get a baseline from that
Hmm
and work with that. And I didn't charge for I couldn't get there. I
Hmm.
just couldn't get there. And it could be because I didn't feel I valued myself inside to charge. I
Hmm.
couldn't do this, or they couldn't afford it. I couldn't find that sweet spot. It wasn't until clients started to pay me on their own.
Yeah.
And they start to encourage me that you need to be charging for this.
Yeah.
The amount of work that you put in, the amount of hours that you have put in, you need to be charges. But when you start to charge, to balance it also with your volunteer work, to balance it with sessions that are complementary for clients that need it, to
Right.
balance it with your humanitarian work
Right.
inside, to give that also, to find that something that you resonate to, and not to charge, because that's where I feel I do a lot of volunteer humanitarian work, and I don't charge for clients that I feel I can't. This is on a complimentary session, and this is from your loved one on the other side.
Yeah, and I just want to say something here, because I've worked with I've worked, I can say it because I was public. I worked with Thomas John, for a while, and
Hmm.
I happened to do some work with John Edward. And people will look at celebrity mediums, and they'll say, "Oh, they charge so much." And the thing is, even if at that level, you only have so many hours in the day, and if they charged $100, for a reading, they'd be, well, they're booked constantly anyway. So there
Hmm.
is a supply and demand aspect to it. But again, those are the exceptions. Most mediums I know, they don't charge enough. I'm like, you really need to raise your rates, because most of them, as you said, maybe they're a little bit uncomfortable about their ability. They feel like because people always say they can't afford it, even though people are going out and spending all kinds of money on other things. But most mediums I know, it's like they're really humble people, and they're not in it. Again, they're not in it to get rich, and most of them probably need to raise their rates when you look at what other people are charging for the service they provide. And a medium reading, and I'll ask how you feel about this, but it's not something you should be doing every week anyway. So when people say, "I can't afford this," it's like, how many medium readings are you going to get? Usually one or two a year is probably all most people need.
Right, right. It's in between 1 to 2, and I don't want my clients to come back every month. If
Yeah,
they're coming repeated sessions every month, I encourage them to take a pause. And why do you need to book a reading with myself or even another medium every month? There's a need there. There's a void that you're not filling.
right.
And to look inside that void, what it is that you need filled. And I can't make that decision what it is, but I encourage them to go to either other mediums or find some work that is volunteer for them that they feel is their purpose.
Mm,
And that finding that void, and it could also be speaking to a professional, and it could be working on that inner work, that self-development.
yeah,
That
yeah,
self-development, going all the way back to that, Brian. Why do you need to keep seeing the same? It's something that they're filling your soul, but are they really filling your soul if you're going back every month to see them?
yeah,
I would like to see them once or twice a year. That is a great balance to have. Once to
yeah,
twice a year, reoccurring, repeating clients is a good sign that you're doing pretty well.
yeah. Well, the other thing about mediumship, and the value of it, and being someone that works with people in grief, they've done studies where people have gone to meet, and they're like, a good medium reading can be as healing as a year of traditional grief therapy. They've had people, and they've had them see a grief therapist, and they've had them see a medium, and they're like, after one session with the medium, I just feel so much lighter, because just that connection, that knowing that your loved one is still there. And like you said, the guy that changed your life with that one reading, I've had that experience 3 or 4 or 5 times with the medium, where it's like you're like, this person knows me. Suzanne Wilson was the first medium reading I ever had, and I remember it was a phone reading. And kept having to remind myself that she didn't know me, but she was describing my family, my grandfather. She knew I had my family at roots in Kentucky because my wife is from Kentucky. She was giving me names, and I'm like, this is crazy.
Hmm.
So that
Yes, it's
one
life
reading for me
changing.
was like, I knew mediumship was real before, but having that experience, it's like I have no doubt.
And that's another good topic you're raising, Brian, because I've had readings, I've seen readings where the medium will not give a lot of information to the sitter or the client, though filling a need that the client needs. And I will explain this more further.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen readings where there's very little information given,
Mm-hmm.
though the essence and the sense of their clairsentience is really coming in, and they start to talk like them, they start to act like them, they start to do mannerisms. And I will look at the sitter and they're crying.
Mm-hmm.
They are
Yeah.
crying, and that's all they needed to see was they know that their loved one is alive. They know that that's how they talk. That's how they move their hands. That's how you talked about, it could be a little bit of trance, which I don't do. Maybe they're blending with trance. I don't know, but I know that I have seen readings where there's very little information. It's very healing, but I've also seen very detailed information given that the sitter wants from the medium saying, where am I from? Or what's their name? That's
Yeah.
another good one we're going to move into
Yes.
dealing with difficult.
That's a really, really good point because again, talking to people who are developing and seeing them go to different teachers, it's like the British teachers have a certain style, and there's something really great about them because they're very hard. They're like they want proof, but a lot of them are like they call it name, rank, and serial number. They just like just the facts, and they don't care. Some of them, this I'm generalizing, don't care about the quote message. And I think it's got to be the right blend. It's got to be what is this the sitter needs to feel because, I don't want at this point in my life, I don't want just to hear like, Shayna was 5'10" and and the age and her cause of death or whatever. I don't need all that, but I want to hear more like are we making a connection? And so from here, you're saying you give the sitter what they need, or
They need.
spirit coming through you is
Yes.
giving the sitter what they need, and we can get really picky about like that's not evidential.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
And we won't know until the person in front of us how they're feeling. It's removing ourselves, our ego, our soul, and just allowing what the spirit communicator wants to say to their loved ones. And it could be the most simplest message. I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you. And they may have never told them that they love them. And that's
Right.
what they really needed to hear.
Right.
It could be that friend or someone that was like a parent to them that walked out on them and they've never saw them for the next 40 or 50 years. And then they come to you for a reading, and that's the first person that comes in. And all of a sudden, they're talking about, I never told you how much I loved you.
Mm-hmm.
I never told you how proud I am of you. And you could see the difference in the sitter, the
Yeah.
client starting to cry. And that's all you have to say.
Yeah, that's
I,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely true. And that thing, I love we made that point because those things are really important. I forgive you, I think is a huge one because so many of us are carrying around unspoken guilt when someone passes.
correct.
And
Wow.
we project that onto the person who's passed, thinking they must, hate me because I didn't save them or I didn't visit them enough or whatever it is.
Right. I'll give you an example. This happened to me, a very powerful reading. I almost quit. I almost quit. I didn't think I was good enough
Mm,
in what I was doing.
mm,
I didn't think I could get to that level. It was so much blockages coming in with the work that was needed. We talked about discipline, the effort, the homework that was needed. I can't do this. I
mm,
can't do this. I'm not good enough. I can't get into this. I can't be a medium. Even though I had that awakening, there were moments where I was low, very, very deep, where I can't continue to do this. And there was one specific moment I quit.
mm,
And I went to bed and I cried and cried and cried.
mm.
And everything that I had done, thrown away. The next couple of days, and I share this story with some of my students, I was pulled to go to a reading, a circle where mediums were practicing. And I went in as an observer. I wasn't going to read. And I log on and I came in halfway. And the very next reading, the medium goes directly to me. And all she said was two words, Brian, your father's here, Effie. He wants me to tell you, don't quit.
Wow.
And I stopped cold. I turned off my camera and audio and I started bawling.
Wow. Wow.
That's all she needed to say. She
Wow.
didn't need to go further into anything else. Do you understand now the effects of our words? That we don't need to go deep if we don't need to trust. She trusted. That's what I
Mm.
needed to hear. 2 words.
Wow.
Don't quit. How does she know that? She didn't know.
Yeah.
She had absolutely no idea. She says, it's the message you need to hear from him.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. That's
That
amazing.
was 2 words. And
Yeah.
I went back into it and I could not go back to the circle. I was
Yeah.
a mess. I was an absolute mess. And I couldn't even share this with anyone because no one was a medium around me. No one
Mhm.
was, they wouldn't even believe me. They was just, you were quitting. Why would you quit all this work that you've done? But it's a lonely place, Brian. When you're
Yeah.
in this work, you have to find your tribe. You have to find people that are like you, that understand what you're going through. And that was one of my difficulties and challenges, finding my tribe. And I still today haven't fully found my tribe, but I do have a lot of support and networks I
Mhm.
can tap into, that we support each other and we're there and we're
Yeah.
humble and we're here for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So after I got that message from my dad, I went right back into it,
Yeah.
right back into it the next
That
day.
that is so cool. That just blows me away. And again, finding your tribe, I think, is also extremely important because it can be very lonely work. And I know people who are mediums, it's like they don't want to tell people they're mediums for a couple of reasons. One is people want free readings if they believe in it, and the other is people are like, "Oh, you're either insane or you're ripping people off." So it's a really weird profession, and also just all kinds of pressures. There's also again the people that criticize you because you charge, because
Mhm.
it should be free because it's a gift, and so it's a tough profession to go into. It's like I remember John
Yes,
Edwards saying nobody chooses to go chooses to go into this, just for
that's
fun.
true.
If
That's
you want to
true.
find a way to
Yeah.
make money, there's a lot easier ways to make money than to become a medium.
If you're expecting to become a millionaire,
Yeah, yeah,
that may not be the right route. You have to want to do this work. You
yeah.
have to have it within you that this is something that's a calling, that you have to put in that effort. It's just like anything else when you're going to the gym to build your muscles. It doesn't come overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stop going to the gym, the muscles will start to evaporate. So this consistency of continuing to develop, to continue, to have that within you, because it's a lifelong journey,
Yeah.
and to be open to any possibilities that will come your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what are some of the practices you do to keep yourself as a clear channel?
The One of the things that really worked for me, and I was so lucky, fortunate to receive this wisdom, was sitting by myself in the power. I'm
Mm.
such a left brain with what I do in the work world. And that took a long time with a very type A personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really, really sit by myself every single day. And we have COVID, so I was able to do that.
Mm.
And it got to the point where I had to forgive myself if I didn't do it for an hour or 2 hours or 30, whatever it was supposed to be that
Mm-hmm.
day where it went. And as I started to really sit by myself, I would notice that I would not tune out, but I would just go to a place where I could hear the cars, but not really hear the cars.
Mm.
I could hear the kids, but I couldn't really hear the kids. They were there, but they weren't really there. It was like another place, this in between, that ethereal place in between. But I could also feel the power moving. I could feel it really growing and growing. And the
Mm.
more still I got inside and the more I was able to remove myself, that's when I started to notice the difference in the readings, being able to stay longer with your power, being able to blend with multiple spirits, but also being able to do multiple readings within the day, not 10 or 20, but more than one or two. And I
Yeah.
caution everyone with your energy to be careful to always when you're doing readings, to give yourself some time, downtime, because I
Yeah.
didn't do that.
Yeah.
Give yourself some downtime because I started to see I was burning out. And then I took a step back and I was giving myself more me time, taking care of me. And nature really works for me. And
Mm.
if it's cold in the winter up here in Canada, I just envision it. I just envision it and the power of our imagination. Brian can bring us to places that really is cleansing and you're actually there.
Yeah.
That really helped me very, very much was sitting in the power.
So Effie, you mentioned your work. So are you still work full time outside of doing
hmm
mediumship also? Okay.
hmm
Yeah. That's how do you balance those two things?
Good question. I've been doing it for almost 25 years. So as an what I do is I pull it all together in the back end, but I'm also
Mhm.
front end, a lot of support to all the engineers and actuarials, analysts. I efficiency. So when you do something for a long time, just the efficiency, having the answers quickly,
Mhm.
going right to it, not having to search online, not having to ask other departments and teams. I've been doing it for so long that I'm just able to balance my day out.
Okay.
Granted, quarter ends are tough, and I
Yeah.
know that in advance now, so I will block my calendar. I won't do readings. I won't do any church demonstrations. I won't go to platforms. I won't do anything. I know that, and that's something I learned the hard way.
Okay. Yeah.
And now, so it's just being very, very organized, but it's come naturally to me. It's almost second degree nature.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you envision continuing to do work full time, or are you moving more into
I,
doing mediumship?
I, I know I will be doing this when I retire full
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future holds. I'm open to it all. I do
Yeah.
have kids to put through university at the moment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you and I will both know what what that is. And they want to get cars and they want to get their licenses and
Yeah.
a lot of that insurance that comes in and secondary drivers. And so that's right now, yes, I will be working, but I'm open. I don't know what the future holds, right? And
Yeah.
that's the most exciting part of it.
Yeah, and I
But I
wanted to bring that up because again, the people have all these crazy ideas about mediumship. Again, that people think medium's going to get rich. It's very difficult to become a full-time medium and to support a family on that kind of, because you don't get benefits. You don't have when you're in Canada, but America we have to pay for health insurance and all that kind of stuff. So it's a calling, as
Yeah,
you said.
you
And I
have
want to,
to want, yes,
yeah.
it's a calling.
You have
Want to
you
do it
have to want
inside.
it. Yeah. Well, we're
Calling.
coming to the end of our time, Effie. I really enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything that you wanted to cover that we didn't cover today?
I would like to tell, and when they step into this journey, if they're looking for a tutor, to really look in circles at mediums when they're demonstrating, how you like their style, how
Mm-hmm.
you like how they deal with the nose, their energy, their personality. If they're looking for a tutor, it doesn't mean you need to go to the big tutors. You go to the one that you're drawn to.
Yeah.
And I value private today mentorship more than anything because that's where I really found myself working with a private mentor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Really, yes. And but I also did groups, smaller groups of mentorship within 8 to 12 people.
Right.
So if they're looking for a mentor, to really look outside and see who they're drawn to, and
Yeah.
to make a list and look and say, okay, and make an appointment, see if you can find them on YouTube, have a discovery session with them. And you're going to find the right tutor for you at the right time to trust the one you're pulled to.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really good point also. And the same thing if you're looking for a medium. Again, people want to say, "Oh, I want to go to this person because they're a celebrity." But they have a 3-year waiting list and they charge $800 an hour. You can find very, very good mediums who are available that charge a lot less than that.
All my are referrals. It's
Yeah.
all referrals. I don't advertise. It's referrals, and that's good.
Yeah.
I just keep it like that. I'm not ready to move into that sector just yet of billboards or advertising or whatnot. It's referrals are still today, even in the business world, the best source
Oh,
of
absolutely. Yeah.
references. It's referrals.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I tell people, that, there's certain things I wouldn't do without a referral, and going to a medium is one of them. I'm not going to pick a medium like I'm going to age myself with
Mhm.
yellow pages. I'm not just going to go look at a list of
I remember
mediums.
Real
I
Page.
want to talk to someone who's been to that person, or they're certified by somebody I trust, like a Very Soul, or like my friend Mark Ireland, who certifies mediums. I know that if Mark has certified them, I know the process they've been through.
Right,
So
right.
and tuition, because when I get people, I'll give them a list of mediums that I trust, and they'll say, "Well, which one should I go with?" I'm like, "Whichever one you're drawn to."
Good for you, Brian.
Yeah.
The perfect answer.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. So if people want to reach out to you and find out more about you, you mentioned that you do mentorships. How can people find you?
I do have my website, mediumaliyah.com. When you Google, it's also going to be on Substack, I believe you referenced. So they can find me just by putting in Effie Link Medium. And there's not a lot of Effies
Yeah,
out there.
I don't
It's just,
remember any Effies that I've met other than my grandmother. So yeah, it's right.
I,
Uh,
the cruelest thing is here is mediums will call me, and I had one medium who was in China, and she texts me, "Oh my gosh, I met another Effie in
yeah.
China." And
Wow.
she's a grandmother. She's 99. I loved it.
Yeah. So for anybody that's listening, if you don't see, it'll be in the show notes, but it's Effie, Effie, Link, Linke. And the
And the
website is,
medium, sorry,
it's Medium Aliyah, right?
.com. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
AALIYA, right?
so yes, I'm launching platform demonstrations, mentorships, working on platform, how to deal with the no's, how to go deeper into the readings. And I'm also launching very soon a master classes, small classes, how to go deeper into your
Oh,
readings
wow. You're doing a
when we're
lot.
doing count
You're doing a lot for
and
someone who
doing
has a full-time job.
and
Yeah.
private mentorship. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Effie, it was great to see you today. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, if you liked this episode, come on over and talk about it. Let me know what you liked. If you didn't like this episode, come on over and talk about it. Let me know what you didn't like. Go to grieftogrowth.com/community and look for Talk About the Podcast. I'll see you there.